In the ancient land of Eri, there was a beautiful and peaceful kingdom. The people lived happily under the wise and kind rule of King Olori and his brave Queen Lila. The kingdom was full of lush green fields, sparkling rivers, and tall mountains. The people of Eri worked hard, harvesting crops, raising animals, and crafting beautiful items. They loved their king and queen, who always made sure that everyone had enough to eat and a safe place to live. Queen Lila was known for her intelligence and courage. She was not only beautiful but also very wise. The people of Eri admired her and looked up to her as a great leader. She often went among them, listening to their problems and helping them find solutions. King Olori and Queen Lila had a young son named Joel, who was cheerful and loved by everyone. One dark night, strange figures appeared at the outskirts of Eri. These figures wore frightening costumes made of raffia and leaves, which made them look like scary spirits. They crept into the kingdom and started stealing food, burning houses, and scaring the people. The people of Eri were terrified and did not know what to do. They had never seen such scary beings before and believed they were spirits from the forest. The next morning, the people gathered at the palace to tell King Olori and Queen Lila about the terrifying raiders. "Your Majesty, the spirits attacked us last night," a farmer exclaimed. "They stole our food and set our barns on fire." King Olori listened carefully and promised to find a solution. He called his council together to discuss the strange attacks, but no one had any idea how to fight against what they believed were spirits. Queen Lila watched the people of Eri suffer and felt a deep sadness in her heart. She knew she had to do something to save her people. One evening, as she sat in her garden, she decided to seek help from the great river god, Amari. She believed that Amari could provide the wisdom she needed to defeat the mysterious raiders. With determination in her heart, Lila went to the riverbank and prayed to Amari. "Great river god, please help me save my people from these terrible spirits. I promise to make a great sacrifice if you guide me to the truth." The river's water shimmered, and a gentle voice echoed, "Your courage and love for your people are admirable, Queen Lila. I will help you discover the secret of these raiders, but you must be prepared for the sacrifice you promised." Queen Lila returned to the palace with a plan forming in her mind. She knew that to learn the secrets of the raiders, she needed to get close to them. She decided to let herself be captured by the raiders, believing that this was the only way to uncover their true identity. She shared her plan with King Olori. "My dear husband, I have prayed to Amari, and I know what I must do. I will allow myself to be captured by the raiders to learn their secrets and save our people." King Olori was deeply worried for his wife's safety, but knew that Lila was brave and determined. "I trust you, Lila," he said, "but please, be very careful." On a moonless night, Queen Lila dressed in simple clothes and left the palace. She made her way to the outskirts of the kingdom, where the raiders usually attacked. She hid behind a tree and waited. Soon, she heard the rustling of leaves and saw the raiders approaching. They were covered in their scary costumes, their eyes glowing in the darkness. Lila stepped out from her hiding place, and the raiders quickly captured her. She pretended to be scared and allowed them to take her away. As they led her deep into the forest, she looked around, trying to remember the path and any landmarks. The raiders brought Queen Lila to their camp, which was hidden deep in the forest. She saw many tents and fires burning brightly. The raiders were gathered around, talking and laughing. Lila noticed that they were removing their costumes and saw that they were just ordinary men. She realized that these spirits were humans in disguise. One of the raiders, a tall man named Jero, seemed to be their leader. He noticed Lila and walked over to her. "Who are you, and why were you alone in the forest?" he asked. Lila quickly thought of a story. "My name is Mina," she said. "I was running away from my village because of the spirit attacks. I had nowhere to go and got lost in the forest." Jero nodded and decided to let her stay in the camp. "You can stay here, Mina, but you must work for us," he said. Lila agreed, knowing that this was her chance to learn more about the raiders. Over the next few days, Queen Lila worked hard in the raiders' camp. She cooked, cleaned, and did whatever tasks they gave her. She made sure to be kind and helpful to everyone, hoping to gain their trust. Slowly, the raiders started to like her and treated her with respect. Jero, the leader, began to notice Mina's intelligence and bravery. One evening, as they sat around the fire, he said, "Mina, you are not like the others. You are strong and clever. Tell me, why did you really leave your village?" Lila took a deep breath and decided to stick to her story. "I was tired of living in fear of the spirit attacks," she said. "I wanted to find a safe place to live." Jero nodded, seeming to believe her. "You are welcome to stay here with us," he said. "We can use someone like you." As the days went by, Queen Lila observed the raiders closely. She noticed how they prepared their costumes and how they planned their attacks. She learned that they were not spirits, but men who used their frightening disguises to scare and rob the people of Eri. One night, when everyone was asleep, Lila sneaked into the tent where the costumes were kept. She studied them carefully, noting the materials and how they were made. She realized that if she could set these costumes on fire, the raiders would lose their power to scare the people of Eri. Lila knew she had to escape and share this information with her people. But she had to be careful. If the raiders discovered her plan, they would never let her go. Queen Lila carefully thought about how she would escape from the raiders' camp. She decided to wait for the right moment when the raiders were busy or distracted. She also needed to find a way to bring back the information about their disguises to Eri. One evening, Lila overheard Jero and the other raiders planning another attack on Eri. She knew this was her chance. The raiders would be focused on their preparations, giving her an opportunity to slip away unnoticed. On the night of the planned attack, Lila quietly gathered some supplies and hid them in a small bag. She waited until the raiders were busy getting ready. When she was sure no one was watching, she made her way to the edge of the camp. Lila moved swiftly and silently through the forest, retracing the path she had memorized. She was careful to avoid making any noise that might alert the raiders. Her heart pounded in her chest, but she remained focused on her mission. After hours of walking, Queen Lila finally reached the outskirts of Eri. She felt a wave of relief wash over her, but knew that her mission was not yet complete. She had to share the information she had learned with King Olori and the people of Eri. Lila made her way to the palace and was greeted with joy and surprise by the guards. "Queen Lila, you have returned," they exclaimed. They quickly took her to King Olori, who had been anxiously waiting for any news about his wife. King Olori embraced Queen Lila tightly, overjoyed to see her safe. "Lila, my love, you are back," he said. "We were so worried about you." Lila smiled and said, "I have discovered the truth about the raiders. They are not spirits but men in disguise. We can defeat them by setting their costumes on fire." King Olori listened carefully as Lila explained everything she had learned. He called his council together and shared the plan with them. The council members were amazed and grateful for Lila's bravery and wisdom. With Queen Lila's information, King Olori and his warriors prepared for the next attack. They gathered firewood and torches, ready to set the raiders' costumes ablaze. The people of Eri were determined to protect their kingdom and defeat the raiders once and for all. Queen Lila stood by her husband's side, offering her support and encouragement. She knew that the upcoming battle would be difficult, but she had faith in the bravery and strength of the people of Eri. The night of the attack finally arrived. The people of Eri were ready, their hearts filled with determination and courage. They waited in silence, watching the forest for any sign of the raiders. As the raiders approached, dressed in their frightening costumes, Queen Lila and King Olori gave the signal. The warriors of Eri lit their torches and set the raiders' costumes on fire. The raiders panicked as their disguises burned away, revealing their true identities as ordinary men. Without their disguises, the raiders were no match for the brave warriors of Eri. The people fought fiercely and soon defeated the raiders, driving them out of their kingdom. The victory brought great joy and relief to the people of Eri. Queen Lila and King Olori stood together, proud of their people and grateful for the victory. "We have defeated the raiders and protected our kingdom," King Olori declared. "Thanks to the bravery and wisdom of our queen, we can now live in peace." After the victory, Queen Lila remembered her promise to the river god, Amari. She knew she had to fulfill her vow and make the great sacrifice she had promised. With a heavy heart, she went to the riverbank and prayed to Amari. "Great river god, we have defeated the raiders and saved our kingdom," she said. I am here to fulfill my promise and make the sacrifice you asked for." Amari's voice echoed in the air. "You have shown great bravery and kept your promise, Queen Lila. But the sacrifice I demand is the life of your only son, Joel." Queen Lila was devastated by Amari's demand. She loved her son Joel more than anything in the world and could not bear the thought of losing him. But she knew that she had to keep her promise to the river god. With tears in her eyes, Lila returned to the palace and told King Olori about Amari's demand. "We must fulfill our promise, even though it breaks our hearts," she said. "It is the only way to ensure the continued protection of our kingdom." King Olori was deeply saddened, but understood the importance of keeping their promise. Together, they decided to fulfill the vow and make the sacrifice. Queen Lila and King Olori spent their final moments with Joel, cherishing every second. They explained the situation to him in the simplest way they could. "Joel, you are very brave and special," Queen Lila said. "The river god has asked for your help to protect our kingdom." Joel, though young, understood the seriousness of the situation. He hugged his parents tightly and said, "I will always love you, Mama and Papa." With heavy hearts, Queen Lila and King Olori took Joel to the riverbank. They prayed to Amari, asking for strength and courage. "Great river god, we bring our beloved son Joel as the sacrifice you demanded," Queen Lila said, her voice trembling. The river's water shimmered, and a gentle voice echoed, "Your sacrifice is accepted. Your kingdom will be protected, and your bravery will be remembered for generations." The people of Eri mourned the loss of young Joel but understood the importance of the sacrifice. They were grateful for the bravery and selflessness of their queen and king. Queen Lila and King Olori continued to rule their kingdom with wisdom and kindness, honoring the memory of their beloved son. The people of Eri decided to honor Queen Lila's bravery and sacrifice by celebrating her story every year. They called it the Festival of Lila, where they sang songs, danced, and shared stories of her courage and wisdom. A statue of Queen Lila was erected in the center of the kingdom, reminding everyone of her selfless act and the importance of bravery and sacrifice. The children of Eri grew up hearing the tale of Queen Lila and aspired to be as brave and wise as she was. With the raiders defeated and the kingdom protected by Amari, the people of Eri enjoyed many years of peace and prosperity. They worked together to rebuild their homes and farms, and the kingdom flourished once again. Queen Lila and King Olori continued to lead their people with love and dedication.